Talk about random, David. It doesn't get more random than this.
Can I cuss on this? I'm sorry. I didn't ask that.
Don't be offended. I definitely saw those photos and I was like, this is so fucking hot. I dig it.
Oh my God.
Dude, what a small world, right?
I don't really have much of a filter, which gets me in trouble from time to time.
Ego and delusion, baby. It's what it takes, but you have to have balance.
Work smart, not hard, is what I've been told.
Dude, I thought I was earning my ticket to MTV's Catfish. I'm like, here I go. This is my story.
Oh no.
Welcome to Unshut, a place where if at any point you feel like you need to shut the up, don't. How's it going, David?
Hey man, how are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. I like the setup.
Oh, thank you very much. I wish I could say I set it up myself, but I don't know what any of this shit does.
Well, thanks so much for making the time today, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you making the time.
Of course. Listen, I'm just glad I'm not getting catfished. Did your management tell you about this whole story with us?
No.
Dude, I thought I was earning my ticket to MTV's Catfish. I'm like, here I go. This is my story.
Oh no. What happened?
Well, first of all, I'm glad to hear it's you for real, but so long story short, David, your team got back to me on April 1st, and my response was, if this is an April Fool's joke, I'm gonna be so fucking livid. So literally my response was, please tell me this is not an April Fool's joke.
They didn't tell me that at all. That's funny.
So literally for a few days, I was so skeptical about it. And then literally leading up to today, David, I am like, what if I'm being catfished? What if this is my first catfish experience?
I'd have known that I would have tried to have some fun with it and had somebody else sitting here.
Well, I was like thinking, like, what if, he's in this creative era where he's going to show up to the interview with a mask on? Like, I
Oh,
am going to be like, take it off, please. Well, before we officially start, I thought it was the funniest thing, and I absolutely loved your team's humor about it. They were like, no, this is not a prank. We promise we're going to set this up. They were so amazing about it. But in honor of that, I want to go ahead and start off the interview with that. Do you have any April Fool's stories worth telling?
Oh God. I don't, only because I am somewhat gullible, as some of my friends would probably attest to. So they usually catch me on other days. I had a buddy of mine. We lived together in Tulsa for a little bit. And I remember he told me something. I don't remember what it was, but he told me some piece of information that wasn't true. But I believed him when he said it. And I think for like 3 years, it would just come up randomly in conversation like, oh, did you know about X? And then I forget where we were. And I said it, and he was part of the group, and I'd said it, and he goes, that's not true. And I said, well, you're the one that told me that. And he goes, oh God, yeah, I forgot about that.
So it was just like
Oh,
an
you're a son
ongoing
of a
April
bitch.
Fool's.
Yeah. Oh, it was so good. I was pretty mad in the moment, but it was pretty good. I was like, I've told that to so many people.
That's
But
hilarious. Thanks again so much for being here. And I am really, really enjoying seeing how your confidence and security as an artist just continues to grow in this industry. I wanted to start off by talking about that a little bit. Do you feel like that's something with age that just continues to work in your favor?
it's a good first question. I don't know. I don't really think about it. Listen, I'm an overthinker by nature. There's certainly a multitude of things that I'm insecure about. And at the risk of sounding, I don't know, egotistical maybe. I don't think it's coming from that place. I feel like I'm pretty good at this. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I know what I can bring to the table musically, and so I try to remain sort of comfortable in that space. It is sort of against my nature though, but
No, totally. Do you feel like owning that craft, that confidence that you're talking about, how does that impact your writing today versus the projects you were putting out, let's say even 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
sure, sure. I think with every project I've been able to put out, there's always a little bit more exploration. I think my early stuff, I definitely, sort of set a baseline for like what my lane is, and then really everything after that has sort of been this exercise in okay, how far can I push this part? How far can I push this part? And sort of kind of taking the blinders off creatively. Maybe part of it is being more comfortable. Maybe part of it is just like a little bit of hubris. It's sort of what makes it fun for me, honestly, is the opportunity to get in a studio and play. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, this is this is barely a job. I get paid extremely well for it, but it is barely a job. It's a lot of I don't know. I just get to be creative every day, and that to me is not work.
Well, and I feel like that's such an important message to any creative out there who wants to give this a go full time. It's being able to hone in on your craft, own what you are good at, and capitalize on it. And obviously, here you are, X amount of years later, still being asked to do interviews, still putting out records. And I feel like that just speaks volumes to itself. And so I want to talk about being busy real quick because I do think that for someone like you who, you've been doing this for so long, I thrive off of doing interviews with artists like you because of how often you have to do interviews. So let's hope that your overthinker side doesn't come too much into play today. But
Sure.
while we're on the topic of staying busy, let's start off with this. David, would you be open to making a return to Broadway in the future?
Absolutely. Broadway came along for me at a point in my career where I was sort of, I don't want to say burnt out, but I sort of needed like a different creative lane for a second. The life of a musician or whatever you want to call me, I guess, it can get sort of cyclical. You write music, you record music, you release music, you go out on the road to promote music, lather, rinse, repeat. I've been really fortunate to get through that as long as I have. But I did come up, in middle school and high school, I did theater, which is a communal exercise. I played team sports, again, a communal exercise. And so there was some of that I very much missed. And so getting to perform in Kinky Boots in 2018, yeah, to get to walk on stage and still be, still get to perform, still get to scratch that itch, but do it in a communal sense where we're all working together to tell a story. That was such a blast. And yeah, I mean, I would love to do it again. It was certainly grueling, like it was a lot. But again, I mean, if you're enjoying yourself, it's hardly work. So
Was there a part of you that felt like you were going back to the days when you were in a band before you went solo?
yeah, I think so. And there's a part of me that still goes after that essence today. Like I tell my band guys all the time, like I want this to be as much of a democratic band thing as it can be, but it can't be that. So it's like a constitutional monarchy, I guess. But that's sort of where I'm most comfortable is in a band setting. I like, it's two heads are better than one, four heads are better than two, etc. So yeah, I think I'm always sort of chasing that sort of creative vibe.
No, absolutely. And I feel like it's important to feed off of those energies to keep things fresh. And, since Kinky Boots, has there been any musical or anything that has, come on your radar that has maybe sparked the dreamer of David that's like, oh, I wouldn't mind being asked to do this play or this show in
Sure.
the future?
No one in particular. I mean, I've got my like short list of musicals I grew up liking and would love to be, a part of, like Phantom of the Opera or Little Shop of Horrors. I got to do West Side Story in high school, and I loved the character of Riff because because spoiler alert, Riff got killed at the end of the first act, and save for like a little spot in the second act, like nowhere to be found. So like for me, it was like I got a full day's pay for a half day's work, that kind of thing. So I would do that one again. Although I'm pretty sure I've aged out of that role. So, but yeah, I don't know that there's. I really liked Hadestown. I would love to do that. Um,
By the way, that was so entrepreneurial of you to be like, full's worth of pay for this. It's just thinking outside of the box. Hell yeah.
work smart, not hard, is what I've been told. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, in honor of Kinky Boots, okay, this is going to be quick and kinky with David, and don't let the title fool you, okay, or
All right.
scare you.
All right.
This is where we're going to get you thinking quick on your toes. And I thought quick and kinky would sound kind of like put off, but I promise you it's not what you think.
Whatever it is, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Let's do it. Quick, in honor of you keeping a Ricola in the back of your mouth while performing, if David Cook dropped his own cough drops, what flavor would it be?
Cinnamon.
Beautiful. Quick, in honor of the iconic red kinky boots, if David Cook launched his own boot company, what would you name the brand?
Oh God. Pricing company. I'd probably. I don't know. No, wait. Nike.
Perfect. Quick, did you keep any memorabilia from this show?
No. Well, okay, so sorry, you said quick answer. I didn't take anything with me, but when the show closed, I did get my boots. So I have my boots. upstairs.
That is so sick. Do you have them displayed or anything, or just
You know what's funny is I keep meaning to get a shadow box for them, and then I don't. And so I'm deathly afraid that like one day we're gonna go to sell the house and somebody's gonna be like looking and find these thigh-high leather red boots in the closet and be very put off by it. No, but yeah, the goal is to put them in a shadow box. I just haven't done it yet.
honestly, how iconic would it be if that's the reason why you do get the offer, but that's like in the little notes, like, we'll buy it, but we want the boots to come with.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's the price tag for sure.
Amazing. Quick, did anyone ever say to you at any point, David, you looked so fucking hot in those red boots?
Not once. No.
No way. Not even in that photo shoot you did for the cover of the posters?
No, no, nobody threw that out at me, which I mean, now that you say it, I'm sort of offended that nobody said it before. Yeah, no.
Well, don't be offended. I definitely saw those photos and I was like, this is so fucking hot. I dig it.
I appreciate that. See, I got one.
There you go. All right. You can take your time with this one. It doesn't have to be quick, but you mentioned not really having a pre-show ritual when you did this like backstage interview for the show. What do both Broadway and concerts have in common to what goes through your mind before you go on, if that makes any sense?
I mean, obviously there's a live audience, but that's a given. I think as far as energies, there's butterflies in the stomach, there's nervous energy. I remember my first time doing Kinky Boots, my first show. There's a moment where, I'm on stage and then my first song starts. And I had a show hiccup years before that, where we had, I think, 17 songs on the set list for that night. I messed up the lyrics to 15 of them, and the two that I got right were covers. I've always sort of relied on a teleprompter on stage. Like it's one of those like I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, that kind of thing. But there's no teleprompter in live theater, of course. I'm side stage and I kind of panic because I'm running the lyrics in my head, which is like a huge no-no for performers. And of course, like a lyric escapes me and I can't think of it. And so I'm begging them to put, I'm like, can you guys get lyrics up in that upstairs office thing that I have to be up when I start the song? As long as I can get the beginning, like I can figure my way out through it. And they're like, yeah, yeah, we'll get you. No worries, no worries. I'm like, okay. So I stopped thinking about it. I go up there, I'm getting ready to start. Like the song is starting, and I'm looking around on this table, and there's no lyrics. And it's just me on stage, the audience, and oh shit. So I leaned on an old idol lesson that I'd learned, which is if you're worried you're going to mess up, just don't lock your knees and pass out on stage. Just don't do that. So I just focused on not locking my knees, and the lyrics I wasn't thinking about anything but that, and the lyrics just sort of came out. So it was a lesson in like, all right, trust the preparation and don't run lyrics side stage. So maybe that's my backstage tradition. It's like I try not to overthink the show. I try not to think about it a lot. Once I know the show's happening, it's like, okay, I'm at the mercy of the live show gods. So
No, that's perfect. You're like, don't luck out. Don't luck out. That's
oh
perfect.
God, I was just like, ooh. And like so many like quirky little things would happen on stage with Kinky Boots that like could kind of throw you out of it. And that's one of the things I loved about it is like as many times as I got to do the show, it was never the same show twice. That's one of the most beautiful aspects of live theater to me. That's what
Well,
was
listen, if you ever need, an idea for a commercial for those cough drops, that could be your kind of like take on it. You could be like, hey, don't luck out. Take this. And then you
yeah,
throw
yeah.
the fucking cough drop to the person. Beautiful.
You're hired.
Well, you're obviously not slowing down anytime soon. I mean, I think I saw somewhere you're even doing like cooking stuff on Instagram. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yes. Not on Instagram. So I have it's called the Red Rabbit Society. I run it through volume.com. And it's like a live stream series I do every month. And so I do like 3 to 4 shows a month. And then one of like this month, I think we're doing one like acoustic show where I'm just playing songs. We're doing one where the audience suggests songs and then I listen to them. And the idea is like I've never heard the songs before. So I'm kind of that it's more of an exercise in like me learning new music and hearing things I wouldn't hear otherwise. And then literally last night we did a cooking show, and the whole premise is fans can submit recipes. I don't see them. We spin a wheel and one gets chosen, but I don't know what I'm making until the live stream is live. So last night was it's like a shrimp stir fry and peanut sauce. It was pretty good. So yeah, that's sort of the premise of it is I run the risk of looking like an asshole on the internet, which can I cuss on this? I'm sorry. I didn't ask that.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, cool.
Dude, that is so sick. Is there a recipe that has surprised you that you now use regularly?
We've only done a couple of the cooking shows. The first one that we did, it was a Scotch egg. We did an acoustic run around Europe with Chris Allen in 2021, I want to say. Yeah. And while we were in London, we went to this restaurant and I had a Scotch egg for the first time. And if you've ever had one, they're incredible. Like, I immediately fell in love with this thing. And I would talk at shows or talk at meet and greets sometimes about how like I wish I knew how to make them. And a fan submitted the recipe. And I've probably knocked out 3 or 4 of those since then. Like, have you had one?
Never even heard of it
All right, let me
before.
get on my soapbox. So a Scotch egg, it's sort of like a medium boiled egg. It's like a little jammy in the middle still, and then you wrap that in breakfast sausage, and then you bread it, and then you deep fry it or air fry it or whatever you do. And so it's like a little hard boiled breakfast thing. It's so good. It's
It
so
sounds amazing.
oh my God. Yeah. I'd eat one right now if I had it in front of me. But
Dude, I'd try it right now if it was right in front of me.
right. Yeah. It's I don't know what I expected. I mean, the phrase Scotch egg is sort of misleading, I guess, but it was, yeah, so good. My God.
Well, I also wanted to ask you real quick, now that we're kind of talking about recipes and stuff, is there one that someone has submitted that you're like, never doing that shit again, staying away from it?
Again, only having done the two, no. And credit to my fans. It's not like I don't think they've thrown anything at me purposely to like cause me to like barf on the internet or anything. But yeah, it's always one of those things. I see the ingredients. I'm like, I don't know about this one, but yeah. So far, it's knock on wood, it's come together. I mean, anything with mustard, I'm a no go on anyway. But I think yeah, I think really that's my only hang up.
Well, we'll definitely call it the unshut jinx if on your next one you do end up throwing up on camera.
You'll get a strongly worded email, and it will not be on April 1st.
Exactly. Has anyone ever mentioned to you, David, that you use the term is nuts a lot?
I do.
So, this is really fucking funny to me because when I was getting prepped to do this interview, literally 2 interviews that I found on YouTube, they were over 15 years apart, okay? I watched one of them and I started laughing because you said something like, oh, it's so nuts. And then I thought it was just funny. So, for some reason, that stood in my head. So, I'm like, let me exit out of that interview, go to a different one. And this was a newer one, maybe a few years ago. And you ended up saying something like, this is so nuts. And so, immediately, those were the 2 first lines at random that I was like, he says this is nuts a lot. So, in honor of you, in my opinion, saying it's nuts a lot,
Well,
since we're on the topic of cooking, if David Cook created his own nut mix, what is going in this mix?
okay, love this question. Had no idea I said it's nuts all the time. I'm going to be cognizantly aware of it. I mean, so let's go with a cashew. I like a good cashew. I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna go with the M&M as part of my trail mix. Almonds. Yeah, we'll throw some peanuts in there, but honey roasted peanuts. And let's go candied pecans.
Dude, I'm like digging all this inspo in regards to like merch and cooking. I'm like,
I'm
love
wanting
it.
so many ideas that I can monetize. I'm so excited.
Dude, absolutely. This is my favorite part about like going on record and telling guests I'm going to ask you questions you haven't been asked before. It's my way of like honoring the things you say and what you write about and what you promote and branching off of it. So thanks so much for going along with it, and we are not done, okay?
Oh no, of course, let's go.
Well, since we're, talking about cooking with Cook, this is going to be David Cooked. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So, cooked is slang for feeling exhausted. What's more exhausting, press tours back in the day or now trying to push content?
Oh my God. Uh, I mean, listen, like, yeah, no, the content is worse to me. Yeah, I could get on a soapbox about. It's just, I think it's just become part of. It's like baked in now to what being like a touring artist is. Is like you also have to be, a marketing guru and a videographer and yeah, all these. It's I'd be lying if I said it came naturally to me. So I'll say that because the press stuff, like. I mean, Jesus, I can talk. Like I can do that. Yeah, the content stuff is worse. Yeah.
Dude, I've been so excited to ask you this because you just happen to be, one of those legends, I would like to say, that in the music industry, you've been on both spectrums now. You've been on where social media had no part in it. So you had to be up and doing press tours, and now doing it completely different. You could do it virtually, but they're both very big hustles. So I was so excited to ask you that.
Yeah, it's yeah, I had to I was forced to start a Twitter account in 2009. Holy shit. So I social media and me are strange bedfellows. for sure.
Well, you definitely interview well. I've enjoyed watching some of them. I don't usually do a lot of deep dives into guests. I randomly just thought about one where you were so candid about a response. I think you were doing something with Idol, and I think it was maybe Kimberly Caldwell. Hopefully, I didn't just fuck up her name, but you said something about air blowing your armpits or something. And I was like, sold. Can't wait to talk to him.
Yeah, dude, I don't really have much of a filter, which gets me in trouble from time to time. Yeah, I remember that because it was week one of Idol, so top 24. We got to pick, so we got a wardrobe budget, and it was like $100. I bought like a blue, like a light blue dress shirt to wear over a t-shirt or whatever, not thinking about, oh, you're gonna be on TV, it's gonna be this like high pressure situation, and you tend to sweat when you're in a high pressure situation, not to mention under TV lights and all that shit. And so I was sweating through my both shirts, and they tried the first thing they did was they put it was like it looked like a maxi pad thing on my underarm, and you know. And then yeah, so literally, I think while we were in a commercial break, they were like using a hair dryer and blow drying my armpits. So yeah, the glamour of television.
Dude, amazing. Now all the gays that love armpits are going to be all over this episode.
My people. All right.
So, cooked is also slang for overwhelmed. How do you get yourself out of overwhelming situations today?
Ooh. I do have a generalized anxiety disorder, so that's a very interesting question. Being on medication for it helps quite a bit. As far as like exiting those situations, I don't know if it comes with age, but I definitely it's definitely easier for me to get a case of the fuckets about stuff like and sort of like acknowledge what's important, acknowledge what's absurd, and try not to give too much of my bandwidth to the absurd stuff. And most of this gig sort of can lean in that direction. That's a perspective I've gained through many hours of losing sleep and stressing over this shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but
No, it does. And it also kind of answers my next one because I was going to say cooked is also slang for expressing burnout. And I was going to ask if you would consider yourself to be good at identifying when you're feeling to be a burnout. And you mentioned you're already, on medication for, whether it's anxiety or feeling overwhelmed, in a lot of situations. Are you able to distinguish when you are starting to feel that creative burnout?
I'm getting better at it. But yeah, I think I don't know that that's a mountain I'll ever fully climb. I think it's just I'm getting a little closer to the top as we go. Yeah, as far as creative burnout, like that specifically, most of the time that's a fairly easy thing to step away from. I do tend to write in pockets, so like I'll go a few months without writing anything, and then all of a sudden I'll feel, I'll write one, and that'll kind of get the wheel turning, and it's just inertia. But yeah, very rarely actually have I been kind of under the gun from a creative standpoint. It hasn't gone well when I have been, but maybe once or twice in my career that's been that way. Most of the time, I'm able to kind of freely be creative.
Well, I think it's also just a really good reminder in general for anyone listening that, hey, it's an ongoing thing. You're never going to reach to the top and it's the end. It's always going to be a work of effort that you have to put into it to bring the awareness to what your body needs, when it's time to step away, how many breaks you need, all of that good stuff. So I appreciate the honesty about that for sure.
Yeah, I think this industry just sort of lends itself to high anxiety and pressure and all that stuff. And I certainly feel like I deal with it better at 42 than I did at 25. But I mean, am I dealing with it properly? I have no idea.
Does it fascinate you to know that there is a different generation still looking up to David Cook and how he's handling this industry?
Hmm. Um, I've never given that thought, to be completely honest. At least I don't think I have. It's easy with all of this stuff to sort of get insular. And again, I think um, not to be dismissive of it, but it feels to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you're talking about like a legacy, like that kind of thing. See, to me, that feels super absurd. Not you asking about it or whatever. Just I don't want to make decisions for that. Like I feel like that stuff gets built by people other than myself. I was just sort of raised with the idea, like, all right, just treat people the way you want to be treated, work hard, find your lane and go down that lane. And that's sort of kind of all I really do, you know? And so thinking about those lofty things feels like an ego exercise that I don't want to, yeah, waste energy on, I guess.
Dude,
So
it speaks so much volumes in regards to why I know for me personally, I think it's so important to go into creative ventures with a solid foundation and a good intention. And I constantly preach about that on the show. And I think you just hit it on the nail. Wait, I don't know that saying.
you hit the nail on the head, I think.
There you
Uh,
go.
it's you know, I've said this before. I think there's people that go on these particular shows like Idol or The Voice or whatever because it affords a potential platform to be able to make music. I think there's other people that maybe go on those shows because it's a potential platform to be famous. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with one or the other, but I feel like typically that's the two trains of thought. I can say, at least for me, I wanted a career in music, and while I didn't plan on going on Idol, it sort of became the avenue for me, and I've tried to benefit from it. I really enjoy being famous between stage left and stage right. Love it. Like, you know, who wouldn't enjoy that? Outside of that, I could take it or leave it. Which I don't know if that's a an unappreciative thing to say, but yeah, I kind of like the I would love the idea of like being on stage and everybody's there and it's a great time, and then sort of being able to slip back into anonymity. I know that's not how it works, but
Well, it's definitely refreshing to hear because I know for me, something that has fascinated me about you is the lyrics speak for themselves. I think that this is the reason why intention behind any creative project is so important. And so it is refreshing for anyone listening. I'm sure all these years later, you're still holding on to this idea that's not based on egotistic dreams. You knew this is what you wanted to do. You busted your ass to get to where you're at today, and it's working out for you. And that's amazing. That's a good story.
yeah, and I do want to clarify. It's not. I'm not saying I don't have an ego. I think everybody that gets into this industry has to have some semblance of an ego. To your point, though, it's allowing your ego to drive the decisions that you make in your career, and so I try to let my ego just be a somewhat unruly passenger. I don't try to let him drive the boat. So,
Absolutely. Ego and delusion, baby. It's what it takes, but you have to have balance.
oh, delusion now. Look at that. No, shoot. That is really true, though. You do have to have some level of delusion to go, I'm going to try out for this show because I think I have a shot. Do you know what I mean? It's silly. But yeah, I don't know. It worked out. So
Well, I'm happy it worked out because now you're sitting here talking with me. So it's a win for me, you know?
likewise, likewise.
Appreciate that. Prior to American Idol, you said you were bartending and painting apartments. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
I found it very fascinating that no one ever deep dived into this. So we're going to do it in an unshut way real quick, okay? So I'm going to give you an album. If this album inspired a color theme to an apartment, I want you to tell me what color comes to mind. Are you ready? And
Okay.
I promise I'm sober. I'm not on drugs, everyone,
Oh, I
okay?
love this. I love this.
So the first one we have to start off with, self-titled David Cook, 2008. What color?
Oh, God. I mean, Scarlet Red for sure. Because to me, that record was the intention of that record was to be, you know, aggressive and come out of the box strong. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's interesting you're asking these questions, this particular line of questioning, just because I do sort of try to attribute colors to all my records, particularly from a design standpoint. So yeah. Anyway, Scarlet Red.
Well, that just gave me goosebumps. I love to hear it. That's awesome. The next one I have for you is This Loud Morning.
This Loud Morning would be like a beige. Yeah, like a beige or a khaki. I tried to write a record that felt more a little more grounded in what where I was at that point. Like life was so chaotic, but you know, trying to like, you know, put your flag down a little bit. There were also sort of behind the scenes with that record, a lot of headbutting, and that was a tough record to make. And so I think so many different people, myself included, were trying to put so many different colors into that. It ended up sort of a beige or a khaki. Yeah.
Dude, that was such a poetic answer. I love it.
Yeah. I went to college for graphic design, so like I'm loving this question.
Hell yeah. The next one I have for you is Digital Vein.
Ooh, Digital Vein, I would say I'm gonna go metallic gold. That record means a lot to me because it was after This Loud Morning, I sort of was unsure of whether I wanted to continue. And so Digital Vein was sort of it sort of began as a writing exercise. Like, do I still enjoy this? I allowed it to snowball naturally. Like it was like, all right, I got a few songs. I'll go in the studio and record them. I don't know if I'll ever release them, but I'll try it. And then, that kept snowballing into a full-length record. That record does sort of stand out to me as one of my favorites just because of what it meant to me. It allowed me to kind of refine my love for the job. So I'll say Metallic Gold.
Beautiful. The next one I have for you is Matter of Time, 2002.
Oh no. Green, as in green behind the ears, as in did not know what the hell I was doing, very new at it, but man, a ton of joy. That was my first, if I'm thinking correctly, I think that was my first full-length record I ever made. So everything's new, everything's exciting. Yeah.
Had to throw you for a loop with that one because
Dude,
I was.
I was like waiting for you to just say the next record chronological order, and then you just jump back on me. It was good. It was
Hell
good.
yeah. I didn't know how to pronounce the band name, so I kept that out. But how do you pronounce that?
For Axiom, AXIU.
Axiom.
It's spelled AXIOM, and typical like late '90s, early 2000s influence goes you have to misspell it, I guess, for some reason. So we went with IUM. Yeah, that was my first band out of Kansas City. So yeah.
Very cool. Well, we couldn't do any of those albums or anything without jumping right into Hero, the new EP. What color and when can we expect this to come out?
Ooh, the Hero is an EP. It's going to be the first of three EPs, each sort of with its own distinct vibe. I expect the songs to be kind of markedly different from EP to EP. As far as the color goes, I'm going to say, I said scarlet red earlier. You know what? I'm not going to go with the red. I'm going to go white, as in like white hat. Because these songs, as I envision it, I feel like the Hero is going to be, a little bit more, uplifting and anthemic and bombastic. That's sort of how I anticipate those songs kind of living. But knowing what's coming down the pike, as far as the other EPs go, I'm gonna give the Hero white, as in like a white hat, like this is the good guy EP.
Well, listen, you did a good job at making us so excited to know what's coming up next. I'm so pumped about it, dude.
Apparently I'm better at marketing than I thought, so maybe I should really dive into this content creators.
Hell yeah, dude. I love it. Listen, all you got to do is play this episode back when it airs, and boom, there you go.
That's right.
Well, I want to kind of get into our feels real quick before we shoot the shit one last time for my final segment. But I want to share something with you, something that I like to do before prepping for an interview. I like to listen to music and just journal. And I journaled a question that I wanted to ask you real quick. Are you ready?
Ready.
While I was journaling and listening to This Time Tomorrow 16, I journaled this question. With music that makes people feel seen and heard, when's the last time a song that wasn't yours did this for you?
Trying to think if one's happened more recently, but I do have sort of an old standby. But it's not just the song; it's the song and the music video together. So there's an artist named Kenna, Kenna. I don't remember the year, but he put out this song called Hellbent, and the video is like a claymation video. I don't know what specifically about it. Like I don't know that I could properly articulate why it made me feel the way it made me feel, but it just the song mixed with the visual, it's gut wrenching to me. Like the only other visual accompaniment to a song that kind of did that for me was it was a Louis Capaldi video, and I'm drawing a blank on the name of the song. Damn it! But it was like an old man and a dog. Maybe you remember. I have no idea.
It's literally in the tip of my tongue, but I know exactly what video.
Not someone you loved or somebody you loved or that it's not that one. It was off of his last full length record that came out. But yeah, typically songs by themselves don't give me as much of an emotional response or don't give me as much of that as when you pair it with the visual. And that's sort of why I wish MTV still played music videos.
Same.
Some old head shit, but the visual mixed with the background with the song. Yeah, those when those look paired well, man, yeah, they can hit you.
No, and I feel like this is kind of where I was going with that question because to me, for some reason, listening to this song, I was feeling so hugged. And I'll share this with you very quickly. It's obviously this is about you, this is not about me. I'm 35 years old and I've never experienced death before. I'm very where a lot of people would say that I am very blessed. I have a very different perspective on it because all of my close relatives are still alive. I have never experienced losing a loved one or anything like that, and I've never been to a funeral. And to me, I think that a lot of people would say, like, oh my gosh, that's such a blessing. But to me, it's such a scary thing because now it's become something that's something I fantasize about in a very dark way, and I can't really explain it because I am like, I don't know what that feeling is going to feel like. And so when I listen to music, that is talking about remembrance or longing for someone, it really does take me to a place that I can't even put into words. And all I kept thinking about while I was watching this video with all the people that were in the video, I was just feeling so hugged.
This time tomorrow I know, but no matter which way I go, I'll carry you with me, love. This time tomorrow I'll run, I'll blister right into the sun, to carry you with me, love. This time tomorrow.
That's all I kept journaling. Hugged, hugged, hugged. Where I went with this question for you was it immediately took me back to the time when you did win American Idol and your mom and your brother came up and gave you a big hug. And all I journaled, David, and this is so corny and I'm so sorry, but all I journaled was, I wonder if he remembers the smell or that feel of that hug and has he ever written about it?
I'll be honest with you, I don't. I talk about this on stage. So that last day on Idol, I sort of, at the beginning of the day, they told us the vote totals and what the winning margin was, right? They didn't tell us who won, but they told us the winning margin. So that whole day, I thought, okay, like I took second, because Archuleta had been a powerhouse that whole season. I felt like if I was going to win, it was going to be like a razor thin margin, like demand a recount thin. I went through that whole day just like completely at ease and sort of centered around the fact that I took second. To the point where I had it sort of choreographed in my head what I was going to do when they said his name. And Seacrest comes out, he says my name. My thing was I'm going to turn, I'm going to give him a hug, tell him I love him, and get out of the way. He says my name, I turn, I gave him a hug, I tell him I love him, and then my brain just sort of went off. I don't really have a lot of first person recollection of the next like 36 hours. So yeah, to your question, I don't recall really any sensory specifics. Yeah, damn, I wish I could. Nobody's ever really asked me that before. And I wish I had a better answer for it other than no. It's really the only time in my life where that's happened, where it's just like I know what happened because I've watched YouTube, but I don't have a first person recollection of it. Yeah.
Well, if you ever need to fantasize about that smell and what that hug felt like, and you do write about it, I would be so stoked to hear what you come up with.
Yeah, yeah. And I do want to make one small point to kind of you talking about loss and all that. I watched an interview with Andrew Garfield on, I think it was Colbert, and he was talking, I think he had just lost his mom, and he was, getting teary and crying a little bit. And he goes, no, this is good because this is just the expression of all the unexpressed love that I had for her that I didn't get to express. And I sort of love that sentiment. I've lost, grandparents. I lost my brother in 2009. I still grieve that. It'll pop up, I'll watch a movie and something will hit, or we are coming up on the 16th anniversary of his passing. And yeah, so I think, there's still tears, which means there's still love, which I see as a good thing. Um, so yeah, I try to write from when I write songs like that, or if I'm involved in songs like that, I try to come at it from that standpoint because I think you don't get over it, you just don't. But you know I try to carry that grief with me in a way that feels like you're honoring that person, still trying to be an example that they would be proud of.
I think that that's literally what I'm taking from this right now is that it's really what makes you such a powerhouse because it resonates to someone like me who I've never felt that level of loss before. And that is true power in artistry when you're able to connect with, and I'm sure you mentioned the disbelief that you could win, but here you are. In my opinion, this is why you won because it's not even doing covers of other people's music on the show. It was just your voice. People connect with it. And we don't have to go through the same life experiences to be able to be empathetic and connect with one another. And I think you convey that with your lyrics. I mean, here I was watching that video in tears, feeling this hug, thinking, I don't know what this feels like, but yet why am I feeling it? And I think that that is what makes you a true powerhouse, David. So thank you so much.
I don't do great at accepting compliments, but I'm just gonna say thank you and accept it.
No, I appreciate it so much, and I'm glad we got to talk on that topic a little bit. And before we wrap things up, David, I couldn't have you on without talking about Deadweight also, because I'm stupidly obsessed. I thought it was a genius track.
The same feeling breathing in my bed. A cigarette mixed with cinnamon red, and I know, yeah, I know that shiver moving up my spine. My favorite record spinning on rewind. Here we go, nice and slow.
This is going to be how we're going to honor that track by talking about the video real quick. Some speed questions. Are you ready?
Sure, let's go.
In the music video, the neck cracks. Did you really crack your neck, or was that a sound effect?
I believe that was a sound. I did crack my neck for real, but I think the mic didn't pick it up properly, so they put it in post. Yeah,
Has anyone asked you that before about the video?
it's fine.
Hell yeah. Where is that jacket from?
A company called Fix out of the UK, Phix. I also wore one of their jackets when I performed with Chris Allen on Idol a couple seasons ago. So it had like the David Bowie lightning bolt lapels. Yeah, love that company.
Very cool. And this is the second time you mentioned Chris Allen, and I'm just going to share this funny story with you real quick. So I actually happen to know his brother. He and I had worked together for many years. And just yesterday, David, I was laughing about this with my partner because I was like, do you remember Chris Allen? And he's like, yeah, we're talking about Idol and stuff. And I'm like, you do know that like we knew his brother, right? He's like, yeah, I knew that. You didn't know that? I'm like, no, I knew him and his wife for so many years, and it just happened to be at a random fucking store where his song starts to play, and he's like, oh, my brother's on the radio. And I'm like, I thought he looked like Chris Allen on your photos, but I didn't know that was your brother. It's a totally random story. I had worked with his brother for years and didn't know they were related.
That's where you worked with him at?
This one particular event out in Florida, it's one of the largest cheerleading events in the industry. And at the time, before I retired out of choreography, that was one of like the events that I would work every single year. I met him for so many years and I just had no idea.
Oh, that's because he was a Yale leader. Was it in Arkansas?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. I'm putting it together now. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, he's Chris and I, I met Chris when he was on the show, obviously. And I don't know if it's because we're both like Midwest guys or what, but he's a really funny guy and like a really good friend. We both live here in Nashville. I don't get to see him enough, but yeah, that run we did in Europe together was a blast. Like so much fun. And then his I played in Arkansas, I think last year, and his family came out, and his dad and his brother were playfully heckling me the whole show.
Dude, what a small world, right?
Love that, man. That's so random. Oh, that's so
So
cool.
random. Talk about random, David. It doesn't get more random than this because something in that video that I thought was fucking genius, and I'm sure it was probably nothing, but for me, I got a good kick out of this for no reason. I journaled, Bottle was a paid actor with one scene at the end. What was in that bottle?
Okay, so we shot that video. That was a one take. So we shot it up in Milwaukee, and the guy that we were filming with, he was nice enough to bring. It's like I forget the name of the beer. Dang it! It's like a local beer there in Milwaukee. And you can only get it there. And he brought like a 12 pack, and so literally as we choreographed it and we were working through it, I was just knocking those back. So I was sort of half in the bag. But yeah, that was just beer. Yeah.
Dude, so amazing and totally random. Is that your hand in the cover art to that song?
No, no, it is not. I tried to recreate it and I could not get that shot. So yeah, that was I forget where I found that at. Yeah, but no, that was on my hand.
That's amazing. That is hilarious because I tried to do the same thing with my logo for the show. I tried doing my own mouth. I put latex glue on it and it was such a flop. So we went with just the artwork.
You know what? It's if you're trying, you're not failing, and you're learning something in the process. So I learned that I can't take that photo. That's what I learned.
Amazing. Well, listen, David, this is how we're going to close out the interview real quick. You made a post promoting the new EP, and obviously, I wouldn't be bringing it up if I didn't think it was funny, but you made a video, but every now and then in that video, you did some close-ups of some whispers. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about.
Hey everyone, David Cook here. Wanted to let you know that I have a bunch of new music coming out this year. New music. I've been working on it for a while and I'm very excited to share it with you. Things are going to look a little different than how we've normally done them in that we're going to be releasing multiple EPs. Multiple EPs. Each EP will come out, every few months or so, and there will be accompanying merch, and experiences, each unique to that individual EP. The first one is entitled The Hero. And the pre-order campaign for it starts today. There are limited quantities of most of the items and experiences, so don't miss out. Don't miss it. It's going to be a blast this year, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear all this new music through the EPs. Recorded music. And on the road. Live music. I am so thankful for you guys' support. I can't wait to go on this journey with you. You guys are awesome.
Amazing. So, this is how we're going to close out the interview. I've never done this before, but I am actually going to close you out. But every now and then, whenever I stop and look at you, I want you to give me an ad lib, a whisper of some sort, whatever comes to mind. Are you ready?
Let's go.
All right, this is it. Let's do it. This is David Cook, everyone.
David Cook.
You can find him on Instagram at DavidCookOfficial.com. His music is streaming everywhere.
Music.
He has tour dates coming up, and you can get tickets on his website.
Concerts.
And make sure to check out the new EP, Hero.
Recorded music.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, David.
It was a blast. Thank you so much, bud.
Alrighty, take care of yourself. Hey, if you've made it this far, don't forget to follow the socials on the screen or in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. See you next week.